People, what's up, beautiful people? What's up, beautiful people? How y'all feeling tonight? I am super duper excited to be on this late night, super late night, actually, super duper late night, based on how I normally do it. This is a late night live nights with Nikki. I want to thank each and every one of y'all for coming through. If I look tired, it is because I am. She is. She certainly is. Um, I hope you guys. Oh, let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of this. We are not talking about Wendy Williams. Okay. But I do have an update on Wendy Williams that I want to share with you all. Thank y'all for joining me. I'm so grateful to have you all here tonight. I'm starting a little late because I'm actually coming back from. Listen, I just got all kind of stuff that ain't right with my screen. Bear with me, y'all. Okay, now I think we got it together. Can y'all hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. Um, this is real impromptu. Hey, Nikki, I see you. Hello, Dr. Washington. I see you as well. You guys, if you're watching me on YouTube, please make sure that you hit the like button. That's how we let YouTube know that y'all are interested. What's up to my Instagram family? Hello, Dr. Wash Hudson. I see you. Hello, go. Hi, beautiful people. Hold on, let me do a little bit of housekeeping. Y'all, it's a lot of shit to talk about. There's a lot of stuff going on out here in these internet streets. And again, I apologize in advance um, for all the little distractions here and there because I really just decided I was going to do this impromptu. I was catching up on all the crazy stuff that's happening out here in these streets, and I was like, you know what, bump it. I'm gonna catch up with my people. We gonna catch up together. So just make sure again, if you are watching me from YouTube, that you hit the like button because that's how we keep this thing going, and make sure you hit the subscribe button as well. Hold on. So tonight we're gonna do it a little different. I'm gonna try to get in some Q&A. I'm gonna definitely. Hey, Queen, how are you? Hey. I'm gonna definitely try to talk less and answer more questions. I find, this YouTube thing is new for me and it's really interesting. Oh yeah, y'all, I got this big cotton ball hair today because wait, hold on, let me do it right. Let me get it right. Cotton ball hair today. I'm looking like a real actual newscaster. Hello and welcome to Nights with Nikki. I'm your host, the teacher hairstyle lady. Nothing wrong with a teacher hairstyle because teachers' hairstyles be. Wait a minute, hold on. Aren't teachers a little different now? A lot different now than they used to be back in the day. Teachers today, but anyway, let me not crawl down that rabbit hole. Long and short, today I had an opportunity to speak at the National Museum of African American Music. I got up super duper early this morning. So if I look tired, it is because I am. Shout out to the National Museum of African American Music in Nashville, Tennessee, and the Rhythm and Blues Foundation. Um, Ruth Brown is just one of the most powerful figures in music. And if you don't know who she is, the Rhythm and Blues Foundation was established because of her advocacy a long, long time ago. And she was advocating because of artists not being, she discovered that she had music that was being played that she wasn't being paid for, and her nephew, Damon, really amazing brother. Shout out to Damon, shout out to the museum. He put on this. I'm sorry, they're doing a summit, I believe, this weekend, and he invited me to come in and speak on behalf of artist rights, along with Farah, an amazing attorney. So, you guys, it was a good conversation. I do believe that they filmed it. I know my husband captured some of it, so I definitely make sure I post some of it for you. But I am really doing a turnaround trip, literally, because there's so much work, and man, it just seemed like I don't know if the days are getting shorter or longer or what. But we gonna make it happen. We gonna make it do what it do. I told my husband, I was like, in spite of all the things that we have going on in our lives right now in this moment, um, we're fortunate to be here. You know what I'm saying? And you really gotta switch your perspective up at times like these. I know I do. You know what I mean? Because I tend to get into a space of this is wrong, this is happening, that's happening, that's happening. And all those things are true. And all those feelings are true. And all those emotions are real, right? But we ain't Diddy. And we ain't all these people that about to come testify. Cause Lord have mercy, Jesus. Let's just get right on into it. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. Please hit the like button and that subscribe button. I know it gets a little annoying when people are saying it, but I understand why. It literally does change so much about how we fit into the algorithm. And this whole world right now is just based on the algorithm. Speaking of the algorithm, I would venture to say that Miss Jaguar Wright has become the algorithm. Like, it's crazy. Like, okay, so we had a nice little drive to Nashville today. And on the way, I was, we're listening to another YouTuber. I don't know if it's proper YouTube etiquette to name people. You feel me? But Jaguar popped in on somebody's show last night and it did not go as planned, I don't think, on either side. And it's really interesting because I have to walk a very fine line in this whole space, right? Because how do I say it? Okay. And I'm gonna tiptoe. Oh God, I'm gonna tiptoe because there's a lot of people out here saying a lot of stuff. And I hope they got the evidence to back up the things that they're saying, because I think that this litigation fiasco that's happening around this whole Diddy stuff is just gonna get bigger and messier and crazier. So I would encourage everybody to think a little bit more before you speak on some shit. Cause, anyway. But apparently she called into another YouTuber, or I'm sorry, not even another YouTuber, very successful radio personality. And I try to tiptoe because I don't have beef with anybody. I'm really one of those people in the industry that I don't have a problem with anybody. But when something that is happening in this business falls into my wheelhouse and I'm calling myself a media company or a company that is trying to have some counterbalance narrative in the media, right? I have to speak on it. So I have to say, I listened to the replay of the issue with Jaguar and Star. I don't know if that's proper YouTube etiquette, but we grown. And I have to say, I was a little confused. I don't know what happened exactly. And maybe someone here does, and somebody can better explain it to me. But I don't know what happened in that moment that made it go so left, right? I think when you're in the space of interviewing people and having conversations with people and being objective about things, you have to really be careful about allowing people to take you down that rabbit hole. And I'm guilty. Like a couple lives ago, I had to kind of go in just a little, ever so slightly, and let have just a teeny bit somebody, but that was kind of an ongoing thing. And it was, and I want to say, if you're watching, sir, I hope you didn't take offense to that. And I hope that your book is doing well. And I hope that you see some vindication for all the terrible things that you allegedly had to endure. And I say allegedly, not because I don't believe you, just because it didn't happen to me. I wasn't there, and there's no litigation paperwork that says that it actually happened. And even in that, and that's something I want to, just get into a little bit, because we tend to really rush to judgment on things, right? And this is not, don't get it twisted, please. This is not me speaking up for anybody, because again, I tend to be one of those, I wasn't there. So I have to be very careful about making sure that if I wasn't there to see it myself and did not experience it, that I say allegedly. So hey, Pam. Hello. Pam the intellect. What up, sis? I see you. I see you. Thank you for dropping in. Oh my God. Pam the intellect is just, make sure, I mean, y'all, of course, y'all are probably already following her. But ever so grateful for this sister. She's also from Detroit. And I absolutely adore this woman. We just met. She's just always smart and supportive and informative. Information is so, so important for us these days, y'all. So, what is this? You love Marquise. Jaguar has literally done interview after interview, putting out all these claims on multiple celebrities. Um, you know, I know Jaguar, I mean, not like that. We were signed to MCA actually around the same time, and people spoke really highly of her. And I don't really get into the space of diagnosing people with anything, because number one, it's not my business. Number two, it's not my business. And number three, I'm not a doctor. I'm not, and we can look at people and kind of have a perception about what we think is going on with their mental wellness or whatever. But, the other side of it is that this industry, can we just roll up our sleeves and get on into this shit? This industry has a way of really either breaking people completely down to the point where they self-medicate, i.e., drug addiction, alcohol addiction, sex addiction, food addiction, abusive relationships, all that kind of stuff. Or it mentally takes people to a space. I don't know if y'all remember a show called Ally McBeal many years ago. There was a beautiful sister by the name of Lisa Nicole Carson, who's still around and one of my favorite actresses. And I loved her so much because here we go with one of these back in the day stories. Come on, buckle up y'all seatbelt. Let's go. Y'all, we about to go into a little bit of this, right? But please be sure to like this video so that you can let the people know that you appreciate the information that you're getting. And please ignore the fact that my hair is just going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. We just going to work with this black girl magic. Ta-da! I got an afro. Anyway, but this industry has a way. Lisa Nicole Carson, really, really beautiful, talented actress. I loved her because she represented voluptuous, sexy, beautiful. She had a dimple and the big curly natural hair and just such a beautiful spirit. And I watched what happened with Lisa Nicole Carson. And I watched how, and not watched what happened from the perspective of like, I was there every day, I know what it was. But I saw how this woman that I would see on auditions, and I think we actually sat and had lunch once, like just she was there randomly, I was there, we sat together, and I see kind of what the industry has done, right? And I was telling my husband, I didn't realize, but I was in the business at a really dangerous time, and we talked about it a little bit today. Not the dangers of it from the perspective of like physical danger, but when I was talking to my husband, I was like, damn, everybody who was out there, when you start thinking about, I was around Pac a few times. You know what I'm saying? I had no idea that like all of this stuff was potentially transpiring and people was out for him. And I was around Big, and we was, I was at the Peterson Automotive Museum when that whole thing went down, right? Um, just running into people and meeting people in the industry that you didn't know. Like I remember meeting Jimmy Henchman, be like, hey, he's cool as hell. I like really enjoy, it was just a different oblivion that I was in, I think. And now looking back and seeing all of the tragic shit that has happened in those spaces that I once interacted, I realize that this business has been, you know, deep and dangerous and damaging to a lot of artists for a long ass time. And I think back on how old we all were. And I want us to put it in perspective because I know everybody's talking about, you're going to get a whole bunch of people on YouTube talking about how terrible it is and replaying the video of Cassie getting dragged down the hallway and like, you know, all the things, right? But back to Jag and what I've noticed about some of the things that she's saying, right? Again, I don't know who's telling the truth and who's telling the lie, and that's not my business because I wasn't there. I am a person who is rooted in solutions, being more proactive than reactive. And I think what you're seeing in Jag and what you're seeing in other artists who have just been in this business for so long and have seen so many things that they've had to process and like click, oh shit, and it's all coming back to them. Some people are really quiet because they don't want to relive the trauma and they're in a peaceful place in their lives and they don't want to go down the rabbit hole. And then you have people, um, like I'm assuming Jag is feeling very like, you know what? And let me just run it down because I'm sick of it. You know what I'm saying? And you understand that perspective as well. And then there are people like myself who are like, yeah, I'm sick of it too. I understand exactly I understand a lot of the reasons people are frustrated because I have a lot of the same reasons. I understand the misogyny that's been around in the industry for the longest time. I understand, and I get sort of furious when I hear about the situation with Puff and how deep that rabbit hole potentially goes, because then it starts to make me realize, oh, we never stood a fighting chance if you were a decent artist in a creative space. So I understand how someone like Jaguar or other people, because she's not the only person who's been, speaking her truth. And again, that's a very important thing for us to keep in perspective. It is her truth. If you weren't sitting there with her in that moment and you don't have the ability to say this did or did not happen, then you kind of got to just take what you feel is coming from an authentic place and release the rest of it. But you can't tell a person how they should respond or react to the years and years and years and years of trauma that women in particular in this business have had to endure, right? Because that shit is the truth. That happened in real extra life, right? Oh, I see people who said, Pam, there you go again, Pam. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Pam. Thank you, Pam. Pam is sending folks over. I appreciate you guys. You don't know how important this is. Listen, it's the future. So got to get into it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get some of us still got record players and we still playing vinyl, but we've got to get into this digital streaming technology space. Speaking of the digital streaming technology space, I have a streaming platform that I've been in the process of building while in the midst of this egregious ass litigation against Stars, Lionsgate, Katori Hall, P Valley. Got an update on that too. Well, it ain't really an update on our case. It's just an update on what happens when, karma and God, and they say don't mess with God people, they mean it. But anyway, um Worth, WIRFTV.com, streaming platform. There are some really great stories on that platform. And right now, all I want you to do is sign up. You can watch it for free. Now, some of it is going to be behind a paywall eventually, but please log on after this live. WIRF, Women in Reality Film TV, WorthTV.com. So the thing is, I thought that Star went a little hard. Not a little hard. I think he went a lot hard. I have a problem with like the monkey mammy. Like I have a problem with that because I just feel like I went to Japan. What year did I go to Japan? I went to Japan some many years ago. I was on tour with Coco and Shanice. We were doing like this House of Blues tour. It was a lot of fun too. Oh, I wish we could go back. But I remember seeing a monkey as the president of the United States during the time that our president, there was a cartoon in a store that was selling electronics, and it just rubbed me all the way wrong. And I'm not saying that they were insinuating it, but that whole monkey reference in Black people is just a thing that is just so whack and disrespectful and low that I think when you start, doing that, it takes it to another level. So I hope that this whole drama around the falling apart and the burning down of the entertainment industry, which honestly is something that needs to happen, if you're being really honest about it, got to start all the way over. Um, I hope it doesn't breed more obnoxious, you know, behavior like that. Because what happens is we know mainstream media is going to, and it felt like he felt disrespected because she went on Pierce Morgan and behaved as he put it or acted a certain way and then disrespected him. And I get the whole concept of that, right? But that is just a really powerful statement in and of itself. The fact that you have this woman who nobody believed, right? Nobody believed that, well, not nobody believed. Some people believed some things and didn't believe others and whatever. But you got this woman who is now on what we consider a mainstream news outlet like Pierce Morgan, right? And she is now, that's what I mean when I say is at this point is Jaguar Wright becoming the algorithm, because she's now having conversations on a much larger scale than she would. Well, YouTube is pretty big, but y'all know what I mean, right? A little more mainstream, reaching different listeners, different viewers. And with that comes a certain level of responsibility, right? I ain't making excuses for nothing, because at the end of the day, We've all had a moment where we wish that we could take it back. We talk too much on YouTube, i.e., every time I do a live, but it's the real shit. So hopefully y'all can appreciate it. My point is just, I think as new information comes up and this thing becomes bigger and more egregious and crazier, I think it's time for us to all kind of take a step back. I've been kind of looking at some of the people in the space of like YouTube and blogging, and people are really inundated with this whole Diddy thing. And I think that there are a lot of key pieces of this that a lot of people are missing just because they want to be salacious and get clicks and views. Not everybody, but 'cause I want clicks and views too. Shit. As a matter of fact, like this video, please, if you could, and you would. And this won't be long winded because, as y'all can see, I'm tied. Um, I want to change justice. Um, so I think we forget in the space of like trying to get the most views and trying to get the most attention in YouTube. I think we forget that these are real people. Um, they have real families and real children. Puff has children. And I know people be like, well, that don't matter. They should have thought about blah, blah, blah. But I mean, really, seriously, how many of us as adults are still dealing with and coping with trauma that we experienced in our childhood at the hands of adults, our parents, or other people that we didn't ask to be in this motherfucker. We all shit to do with your issues. Don't bring them to me. So I think it's unfair and unrealistic for us to believe that it's okay to be as disrespectful as some people have been to people who had nothing to do with what Diddy did, and those people are his children and his mother and all. At least we don't have that information now, and I think we forget about when you look at what happened with R. Kelly, when you look at what happened with Bill Cosby, you see a lot of, and I'm intentionally ignoring the comments right now, you guys. I'm not being disrespectful to anybody. I'm just trying to get this here thought out. Please make sure you like, you share, and you subscribe. That is so, so important. We really need to get the likes up. I would be so ever so grateful. But having been in this industry for a long time, I understand how enablers work, right? And I think when we look at R. Kelly and we look at Bill Cosby and we look at Diddy and we look at whoever the next ones are going to be, because there's going to be more. There will always be more. And not only that, we look in our own communities, right? Like a lot of people are just kind of getting into this whole like SA stuff and domestic violence stuff, because of the celebrity of Diddy. And that's okay, because however God sees fit to bring you to the light, if it is a high profile celebrity out here misbehaving that does it, that is good too. But I want us to keep in mind that there have been people fighting and advocating for and working to help improve the lives of young women and girls all over the hood, where this happens every single minute on the hour. And the dangerous part about just assuming that this is good for not just assuming, but just taking advantage of this as a lucrative opportunity to just be salacious and add and throw in all kind of crazy shit in the midst of the truth, right? I'd be like, yeah, she's telling the truth, but it's a little bit of a lie mixed up in there, lying to kick it, that whole thing. Yeah. Doing that becomes extra, extra dangerous, because all it takes is one or two people to really do the research that you haven't done, blow a hole in your theory, and then it impacts everything you said prior. You look like a liar or a fabricator or crazy, right? So clickbait and headlines and shit, save that for the celebrity gossip that just doesn't hurt so many people, right? But don't disguise your constant coverage of such a awful, terrible thing as work for the people if it really is just work for views and clicks. Because there are a lot of real victims involved in this, right? Like we're going all over the media every fucking where talking about this 9-year-old kid who do we have any other information? Are there any other details outside of the press conference and the allegations and the claim? And see, here's the funny shit about that, right? The reason I've learned to not take shit too seriously until you've seen it in the form of a claim, right, is because I understand now all the work, the blood, the sweat, the tears, the money, the real shit that goes into actually filing a claim and having it get to a certain space in a judicial system. Anybody can say anything. You could sue a ham sandwich. But when you see the details of the claim, and you understand that there's tapes and there's footage and all this other stuff, that makes it a whole lot harder to just pass off as some bullshit honey iced tea. And I'm saying we haven't seen that yet. So we have no idea what it is until we see it. But now we've got headlines all over about a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old. Then I saw a picture with somebody who said he was hugging him inappropriately or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, again, I'm not defending anybody, especially a criminal, especially one who fucks around with children. We're not doing that. And I'm not going to argue with anybody about where I stand in my advocacy, because my shit is actually, you can see it. It's tangible. You can touch it. Um, but I will also say I'm also not buying everything in every headline that the media puts out there. And I think it's selfish, and I think it's irresponsible. And I think that is the reason why we got to get back to a more objective in real life perspective on everything that's going on, because I keep going to who else? Then I go to 1,000 bottles of baby oil. What was the point of the $1,000? 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Like I'm unpacking other shit, right? What's up with 1,000 bottles of baby oil? Was it baby oil? There's folks out there that say that there are, and I'm just saying what the people say, allegedly, but there are products that look and feel like baby oil that are a whole lot more dangerous than just baby oil. So what, like, we don't know, we don't have any of those details yet, right? So the baby oil joke, and defending the baby oil and defending the, oh, he just having wild parties and they shaking that ass, and actually now having other reports and claims, which we'll learn more about, that there were actually potentially children involved, changes the whole tone of the conversation, or at least it should, if we're really concerned about the right things. I said this was going to be a Q&A, and my ass been talking since I got on here for about 30 minutes already. Let me get into some of these questions. I really think the media made going I'm sorry. Let me put my glasses on. How about that? I really think the media is going to make Diddy look evil, more evil than he actually is. Pam, people are definitely going too far. Some of these headlines makes me side eye a lot of these claims. Man, listen to me when I tell you. And see, that's a dangerous, let me tell you how dangerous that is. It's so dangerous. And the reason why it's dangerous is going back to these people in, my I have a family member who worked in child protective services, right? And she and I were talking, and she was sharing some of the horrific stories, some of the spaces. She works in Detroit, some of the homes that she went into, some of the things that she saw, some of the DV, some of the essay, like the real shit that actually happens in real life. Well, not that this didn't happen in real life, but we have yet to discover what's real and what's fantasy, right? Um, or not fantasy, what's real and what is salacious and just for the headline. When I heard about some of the terrible things that are actually happening, and the documentary film that we did, Broken Things, when I discovered that one man, how many victims that one man left behind, right? Then I start to think about the fact that I have pitched this incredible story for years, film festivals, and it's not that the shit is not good, because it's amazing. I'll show you guys a teaser. It's an amazing story, and it's gripping and compelling, and it's real and it's honest. And then I start to think, I understand why. Because it will trigger a response from victims of maybe, well, let me reel it on in. Those are the conversations we'll be having on Worth TV. privately and whatever. But there are so many things I've seen, just to reset the space. There's so many things I've seen with my very own eyes when I look back now, reflecting on what has happened with Diddy, hearing people's stories, hearing about events and situations where you're like, oh, right, So when we start talking about witnesses that are just coming to the table right now, and why are they just now coming, and you hear that 3,000 people are calling this law firm or whatever, it is so believable. Think about it. Think about it. It's been since the early 90s. That's over 30 years. That is over 30 years. And if you partying 365 days a year, having freak offs, and you want a different group of folks and the different and people grow, it is not unrealistic to believe that over the course of 30 years, there are a lot of victims out there. Now, my question, and one that I'm really excited to see explored, if we gonna talk real heavy and not be, you know, punks and cowards about it, is who were the people who enabled the behavior, who facilitated the behavior, who financed certain things. That's where it gets sticky. That's where the question becomes, how far up the ladder people are willing to go. What I know from my own experiences is that a lot of people in this industry are cowards and afraid to speak truth to power, even if it means stopping something really sinister and dark and terrible from happening. A practice that's been going on for since the beginning, right? So then you wonder, do you really fix the problem by locking them up one at a time? Or do you have to, as they used to say back in the day, get to the head of the snake? Right? And that, based on what we see, right, in the media on a regular basis, could be impossible. Because think about it, guys. You know, another thing my husband and I were talking about, and I think I said this yesterday. Um, our community is too deep into this culture that was created by men who don't care about the people as much as they care about the money, the revenue, capitalism, monetizing at all costs. We as people have been so caught up in trying to survive and work our asses off, take care of our children, pay our mortgages, figure out life, getting over the trauma from generations past that have been passed down to us, having to isolate to protect yourself from people who ain't strong enough to get past that trauma but want to pull you down into that shit. So the family unit collectively, y'all see it. Well, maybe y'all don't see it. I see it in my own family, and I see it in a lot of other families. There's a lot of separation and division within our families, right? And so much so that it's like you kind of stand around and say, what happened to that family bond, that unit? That and then you realize, well, we grew older. We became caregivers for our parents and parents of our own and running our businesses and doing our shit. So all that to say, the pressures and the stress of everyday life and not having that unit, collective family unit to um, build with and to share with, a lot of times you start drinking or smoking or partying or become hypersexual or whatever it is, whatever coping mechanism that we have. And then you got Diddy in your ear saying, act bad, act bad. And then you got this one over here selling this liquor and this one over here selling that. And then we go deeper and deeper into numbing the issues in our community, the issues in our families, the personal issues that we have with liquor and music and partying and this imaginary moment, not imaginary because it's actually happening, but we put a lot of effort into like really trying to escape. And they have found that that is the formula that they can use to enter our community in a very destructive, awful, terrible way. And the thing is, we know that because Madam C. Dolores Tucker told them in the 90s that that is exactly what would happen if we stayed in the direction of degrading women, rapping about gangsters, bang banging each other, alcohol, liquor, all of that shit. We the lady talked about it. That lady made a whole song. Wonder why they call you bitch. Same way I'm on here talking about it, like somebody auntie, sharing experiences from the past, hopefully having some teaching moments with people who care about understanding how we got here. Because when Diddy is sentenced, this trial is going to be great for all of the major networks, and the YouTubers are going to make a killing off of it. Listen, folks are going to be eating off of this Diddy thing for a long time, right? Just like they ate off the R. Kelly thing and then they forgot about him. Same way they're going to forget about Diddy, right? We have so many major losses and major players in this industry, from Clarence Avant to his wife, like just, so many major losses. And now Diddy, Russell Simmons is, where is he? Everybody we've known as a mogul or as an example of success is gone, either because they passed away or because they went to jail because they was doing some crazy shit. And it really leads you to question, why is that it's almost exclusive to Black artists and creatives? Like country artists, Willie Nelson and all of them folks live long, lush lives. Black music artists, just, it's like there's an expiration date when you agree, to share your gift. And I'm old enough to remember a time when record companies appeared to care a whole hell of a lot more for creatives. Thank y'all for coming in here. Please hit the like button. Please ignore my bags and my swelling hair. We're having a deep conversation. I'm old enough to remember. Please hit the like. Please hit the like. Please hit the like. I'm old enough to remember a time when, as artists and creatives, we went through a process called artist development. Super important, so that we presented ourselves in the best possible way. That was a really, really big deal back in the day, right? It was a really big deal to make sure that you were presenting yourself in a certain way, a way that not only shared your talents and your gifts, but also was classy, one that lended itself to longevity, one that represented your people in a much more dignified and authentic way, right? And we would actually, as Black people, we would look forward to Motown 25 and watching those big, beautiful um, spectacles of award shows, because we would see Patti LaBelle singing with Michael McDonald, and we would see, Celine Dion singing with Brownstone and Diana King. And we would see, that art, the way artists came together and respected each other, the way creatives and artists were respected by labels. Now, contractually is a whole nother conversation. But in terms of our ancestors, the Ella Fitzgeralds, the Billie Holidays, the Nina Simones, the Miles Davises, those entertainers, the James Browns, they put effort and development into what they served to their community. When you think about the songs, when you think about the lyrics, when you think about the lifestyle, right? When you think about Motown, you see people in gowns and coiffed and choreographed and putting work into, like an NBA player puts work into being a great NBA player, like an NFL player puts work into being a great NFL player. There was a time when artists and creatives actually put real work, not to say because there are artists out there dancing and singing their asses off and triple threats. They're excluded. But as a huge majority, we have moved away from the artist development that goes beyond just being a great performer. It taught you pride and confidence and the ability to speak in a public setting and understand what to say and not to say, right? Labels appear to care more about presentation of artists 30 years ago, 20 years ago, when they realized that hip hop, let me correct myself, when they realized that rap and gangsta rap and that lifestyle of popping bottles, y'all remember, you know, got a whole bottle. The whole like bottles in a club and some champagne, just like, look, I got a bottle. Oh, look, I got five. You know what I mean? That lifestyle is what started the whole trend towards marketing liquor, sex, drugs, rock and roll, abuse towards women. You know, and I'm not saying that these brothers haven't grown and evolved and become different people and seen it from a different lens now, right? But the bottom line is they created that shit. But let's stop for a minute, pause real quick. My question though is, they were in their 20s, maybe some of them 18, 19. I was 22, 23 when I first did my, those 50-year-olds, you know, the ones that are now 70 and 80. Those 50-year-olds in the room. What were they thinking at that time? Were they thinking like, I share this story all the time. God bless Jerry Greenberg, who basically told us, when you go out of this um, LA, wherever you go, you are representing MJJ. You're representing Michael Jackson. Don't do it. Don't even think about it. Right? Carry yourself like Coca-Cola. Where were those people in Puffy's life? Where were those people in any hip hop artist's life? Because you're impacting a whole lot of people. You're impacting generations. If they didn't see it when they saw the video with the sliding credit cards down the girl's butt and slapping her on the ass, and or if they didn't read it when they read Superhead's book, right, which I read from cover to cover real quick, or if they didn't hear it when C. Dolores Tucker said it, when she went all the way to Washington, D.C. to try to change what was happening. Do they hear it now, today? Do they hear it now that we have 6-year-olds and 9-year-olds and hundreds of victims? I'm making myself hot with all this talk. Do they see it? And are any of those same people who were around when we were getting credit cards slid through our ass cheeks in videos, or those same people who were around when we were in the club with the bottles and the, you know what I mean? We're like, yeah, market that. Yeah. More liquor, more liquor, more liquor. To this day, we still selling liquor. We selling ass. You know, let's get into it. Like, that requires funding. All of it requires funding. That requires support from distributors who are going to market it because they believe that this is good. This is good product. This works for the community. And it's been that way, and it's been funded for 30 years. Right? We've seen people, I've seen video footage of girls getting smacked down off of couches. I've seen, you know, I mean, you've been around in the 90s long enough. You've heard all the D. Barnes stories. You've heard all of the misogyny and the abuse and the whatever. Why now is the question that always comes up. And who else? And how do we stop it? How does it not become just another mute R. Kelly? You know, it's not funny to be like mute Diddy. You know, so then what happens when that happens, right? Do we stop playing the music? Like, how do we really change what is happening in music and entertainment? Because what is happening in music and entertainment is impacting and influencing, encouraging the same behaviors that are happening in our communities on a regular basis. Because what dude wasn't in the club in the VIP section shaking his champagne bottle? What dude did, the whole iced out diamond necklaces, and then you start finding out that either the necklaces ain't real, or they don't belong to them, or they renting them, or they get, what I mean? Like we are great marketers of the most toxic, destructive, awful, terrible behavior. We're gonna market that shit because guess what? We want to feed our families. When you're young and you're, a young black man out here in these streets, and you got the opportunity to be the man, right? That guy, you go pick other talent. Like it just dark breeds dark, right? It just keeps breeding this energy. And now then when you look and you start counting, Heavy D, and you go Craig Mack, and you go, Biggie and Pac, and oh shoot, Prince, and oh Michael and you start just naming all of the traumatic, destructive, awful, terrible fates that these incredibly talented people like Tupac and Biggie are arguably the two best rappers that ever lived till they was 20 something. Whitney Houston, fuck AI. You will never capture the essence of that woman's voice. None of these artists, right? You will never capture. And now we're in this desperate rush to preserve it, even in postmortem. Let's just preserve it. Let's get their voices and their likenesses. And it's just so demonic and toxic and destructive and dangerous. And we're concerned about baby oil and headlines on YouTube so we can get, a few pennies off some ad dollars, and not really thinking about how important using our platforms to really unpack what is happening in Black entertainment. Because what happens in Black entertainment is going to undoubtedly dictate what happens in the culture. What happens in the culture is going to have a lot to do with how your children, whether they are in the entertainment industry or not, are raised, right? The music that they're listening to, those ear pods in their ears as they're playing those games. Like, I'm like talking to my grandson who's 9, like, dude, how do you know that song? And it'd be old school shit. And he's like, oh, that's on such and such and such and such on Roblox or on this or on that. So our kids got these headphones on, listening to these mantras, repeating all of this toxic, destructive shit that is brought to you by toxic, destructive motherfuckers who don't care about them or their mamas or their daddies or their grandmas or they and I would like to believe that people who come from that community, while I don't expect the culturally incompetent white male lens to understand how detrimental their choices and decisions of who they elevate and who they block have been to our community. I expect people who come from our community to understand how detrimental it is to exploit the trauma in a way that does not respect the victims or explore how you get to the root of the problem. Because there's a reason why these moguls over and over again keep getting caught up in these scandals. Are the moguls targeted? Are the moguls targeted and elevated because they know YouTube? I'm sorry, not YouTube. Instagram. I'm gonna never mind. I was gonna end my live on Instagram to make you guys come over to. Matter of fact, I am. Y'all got to come over to YouTube. I love you, IG. Come over to YouTube. All right, YouTube. Hold on. I just wanted to nip that in the bud because we got to get people used to coming on over to YouTube. But anyway, yeah, I think it's important for us. I don't want to get too deep into the rabbit hole because I think that we about to start discovering a whole lot in this process. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now. Thank you, Pam, for sending everybody over. I love you, Nikki. Keep going. Wanted to encourage you. Thank you so much. He is my shepherd. Yes, Whitney Houston. Thank you guys for supporting Brownstone. Thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, 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 hey. I'm sorry, guys. Thank y'all. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the comments now. See, that's just trying not to be distracted by the comments. Nikki, did you see Jaguar's performance with Kiki Wyatt? Just listening to her story, Jag has been through a lot in this business. Yeah, everybody, you know what? Listen, and that's the reason why I say we really cannot judge. We can't judge people. You know what I mean? First of all, artists are sensitive about their shit. So what you gotta first of all consider, artists have to be able to tap into a very deep place in order to make our gifts resonate with the listeners or the viewers, right? Whether you are a singer, a poet, a painter, an actor, when you are a creative, you have to go into this trance like space to really be able to create, and it requires not trance like that sounded kind of crazy. You have to break down this wall within yourself to allow yourself to sort of feel and experience emotion at a level that will allow you to make a great song or make a great painting or whatever. And a lot of times when you open that space up, when you're in a flow, it just all of it comes out, right? And I think what you see when you look at, and I'm not, again, I ain't no therapist. I'm just a fellow artist. I think what you see when you look at Jaguar is a woman who is fed up and who just doesn't give a flying frog leg. And what comes up comes out. And it ain't gonna always come out pretty, and it ain't gonna always come out absolutely correct and spot on and in the best possible way. And yes, maybe there are some traumas and some things that she's experiencing, but let me tell you something. I done had some of the realest conversations I've ever had in my life with members of my family that would be considered like addicts or whatever, because there's a certain level of truth and honesty that you get when people are in a space. And first of all, be clear, I'm not suggesting that anybody is an addict, because like I said, I ain't there, I ain't been there, and I'm not the person to do that. But I'm just saying, even if it's the guy on the street corner that you're not thinking, so we can't discount because a person delivers something or says something in a certain way what they're saying. Now, I do think it's very irresponsible. Let me keep it all the way real with you and keep it all the way funky. I think it's hella irresponsible to talk about some shit if you don't know what you're talking about. You weren't there, you making some shit up, and it's, potentially going to ruin or negatively impact somebody's life. But I like to let karma deal with that. I don't have a lot to say about other people's experiences and how they articulate what they saw or experienced, because here's the bottom line is there's a lot of things that Jaguar has said that a lot of people didn't believe, and then you looked at it and saw it on the videotape and was like, oh well, damn. You know what I mean? So why put yourself in a situation where you got to be like, oh well, damn, I told you she was right, I apologize. I just keep your mouth shut, keep your opinion to yourself, and if you think this motherfucker crazy and I don't really believe that, just keep it to yourself, right? Because you don't have to be a defender of anything but the truth. And if you don't know what the truth is, you can keep your mouth shut. You can have an opinion or a perspective or say it could be this or it could be that. But I think it's real dangerous when we start just, saying what we know for sure. Jaguar and everybody else out here in these streets included. If you don't know 100% what you're talking about to be true, then don't speak it. And if you do, even if you're the only person who knows that, and you truly believe that's what it is, then live your life, you know? Um, yeah, but I think it gets a little irresponsible out here, and I think the headlines get a little salacious and a little clickbaitish. And I think, Christine Beatty, my homegirl from Detroit, who I absolutely adore, Pam says it looks like they were all stepping down. Listen, yes. Pam says we take Diddy's music away just like we took away. Okay, thank you for bringing me back to that point, Pam. Thank you, Pam, for bringing me back to that point. And please quick hit the like button, please and thank you. Please hit the like button. Let YouTube know you liking what you seeing. Um, Think about that. Let's just ponder this for a moment. If you mute Diddy, what does that mean? Does that mean that you mute all of the artists that he take that performed on? And I don't mean take that in a negative way. I'm just saying, you know, his ad libs. Do you mute all the artists he signed? All the artists he touched? All the artists he blessed? All the art, you know what I'm saying? That all sounded so wrong. See, now all the artists he touched and all that, that's all gonna sound weird. I don't mean it in that way. It's a shame I gotta justify that, but this is the world we're living in. That's a hard call. That's a really hard call because look at how many livelihoods that you're gonna be impacting. Look at how many families. That is the reason why I want us to take this shit way more seriously than baby oil. Because he has literally been such an important part of the culture. So many people's careers, albeit, you know, a lot of them, like, you know, they didn't get what they deserved anyway. But just think about it. If you stop playing anything bad boy related, or, you know, that's a lot of stuff. Which is why I go back to who allowed this to happen. And by allowed, I know people are grown and people make their own decisions. But if y'all think that financing is not important in Diddy's success overall, then you're sadly mistaken. Financing, facilitating is a whole thing. Just like with R. Kelly, just like with Bill Cosby. There are always people who, even if they don't know, they speculate or think maybe perhaps I've been working with this person for 30 years and there's some weird shit going on and maybe I need to protect it. So what happens, you know, because of the power structure that whole thing is, does it go away? Does he go away, and then all the bad things that were created in his wake go away as well? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, is that how that works? Or do you need to burn the fucking industry down and start all over? I don't know. I'm asking y'all. Sent by the law intellect. Thank you. Two things could be true: important to musical culture, but might be damaging. Man, listen, I mean, and think about it. Was okay. Let's unpack that real quick. Was any of it that positive? When you think about a lot of the songs that C. Dolores Tucker was talking about, which are the derogatory, you know, ones. And baby, listen, I was pop that chair, yeah, pop that shake with your mom. I was doing that. So listen, I'm not judging shit because I was young and dumb and singing those lyrics too. But she was absolutely correct. Was it really good for the culture for us to hardcore to be our favorite song? The beats was dope. The lyrics was dope. Lil' Kim squatting in her bathing suit with the, you know, and the purple hair and the blue hair and the red hair and all the various colors, all that stuff was fabulous in our young minds, right? In our young impressionable minds. But was it good or healthy for our community at all? Was it the spark that ignited the flame of hypersexualization of Black women? Being intoxicated, inebriated, flat out drunk, pissy. Getting your beat and somebody telling you that it's because they love you. Like, those are the songs we were dancing to. Freaknik was a real thing. And we tend to be like, it's cool, everybody did that. But like, we did it because we were influenced by a culture that was really, in essence, created by a culturally incompetent white male lens that never spent time in the hood. Because you enabled people who were glorifying and amplifying the worst of who we are as a culture, as opposed to how it was when many of us singers and creatives that admired the artists that we saw on the shows performing, the Michael Jacksons, the Shaka Khans, the Aretha Franklins, right? That all started to go away. Those R&B categories started to go away at the Grammys. You know, those traditional R&B categories started to go away at the Billboards. I don't think Billboard even acknowledges R&B music and real talented music, black musical performance. Other thing started to happen was we no longer needed black women or black men to sing soul music because we got a lot of blue-eyed soul, which we've always had. Because Rick Astley was one of my favorite, but let's keep it real. As you start to realize that you don't necessarily need it in order to get the same or what you think, like kind of what they're doing with AI. But nothing beats them soul, baby. Um, That's what Kendrick Lamar said. Let's say, I think sexual freedom is healthy, but we do not balance it enough with other topics. All the music did not have to be about that. Exactly. That's what I'm saying, you guys. It starts to get into a space of like us trying to police women's bodies and, you know, speak negatively of sex workers or whatever. But I keep saying this, and now we about to get into this P Valley thing because I know somebody's gonna think that whatever. We don't need another stripper, nothing. We don't need another stripper rapper. We don't need another stripper TV show. We don't need another stripper store. We've got plenty. We're full. We don't need any more. And that's not because I'm trying to be an auntie mammy and X, Y, and Z, but look around you. Everything we watched, y'all watched BET. Y'all watched the BET Awards, and one performer after another performer after another performer after another performer, it all looked the same. Ass out, tits out, drop it low, spread. Like, I may just be a prude, but I don't need to see anybody else twerk. I don't need to see nobody with their legs wide. I just feel like we don't see white women doing it. We don't see Indian women doing it. I mean, maybe at some point somebody can go dig and find. Now somebody's gonna send me a video of some Indian girls twerking. But you understand what I'm saying. Let me give you a classic example of what I'm talking about. Some of the sexiest dancing that I've seen online on this here internet, and dopest, sexiest dancing is African dance, whether it's Nigerian. Like, I just when them African women are dancing and popping and it's sexy, and they're using their ass and their hips and their thighs, and it's just different. It just hit different, right? Stripping and sliding down the pole and twerking and simulating sex acts is different than using your body to express sexual freedom, right? We know the difference. When you look at Alvin Ailey and the ballet, that's all sexy and beautiful and art, right? So don't make this about, oh, it's art and it's the no. What it is it's an opportunity for women to make money and feed themselves and their children. It's something that they don't necessarily, many of them don't want to do. It is something that they're doing because they have to do it. And it's something that they feel they have to do because it pays well, because prostitution and sex and stripping and shit is like the oldest profession in the world. That is just a fact. It is not, nobody says to themselves, when I grow up, I want to strip in the local strip club down the street. Nobody's really saying that. And I think if any of us had a child or a daughter or a niece or a nephew for that matter, who was like auntie or mommy or whatever, I want to be a stripper when I grow up, we would gag and be like, no, 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 baby. No, you don't. That's not what it is. But the entertainment and music industry, every other TV show that comes on, the Idiot Box, tells our girls and our young men that is who we are and that is what we should aspire to be. Right? Let's just keep it funky. Katori Hall takes credit for being the creator of P Valley, but when you go look on IMDb, IMDb, for those of you who don't know, is where they list all the credits for all the TV shows that we watch. And you see the number of white women and white men and executive looking and level folks who are writers and creators and executive producers of a show about impoverished Black women stripping to save their lives in the Delta. It just makes you wonder, what is your input in this story? What do you, as a white woman who maybe grew up in Connecticut, who's been producing traditional comedies and other things, and you just don't look like you're producing a show called Pussy Valley, right? But what is it that you're adding? What is it you're bringing to this story? What is it that you're telling our community? Because this is a show that is about our community. What is it that you're contributing to this narrative? And if I told one of those producers on P Valley, one of those culturally incompetent producers on P Valley, um, that certain elements of the story or certain directions that they take this in could be detrimental or damaging, and not even P Valley. Let's call it BMF, right? Or in one of them shows that 50 Cent produces, but again, the owners of those IPs don't look like 50 Cent or Katori Hall or Nikki Gilbert for that matter. They look nothing like us. However, they have content that is distributed globally that clearly defines, for all those who are interested, who we are as people, what we aspire to obtain, what our stories are. We got plenty of drug stories. We got plenty of jail stories. We got plenty of my man ain't no good, he cheated on me stories. We got plenty of stripper stories. Where are the stories, the songs, the moments that reflect the people I see every day? Pam, the law intellect. All of y'all beautiful people out there who have great jobs and great friends and all the cool restaurants and the stylist and the where are those stories? Same thing with R&B divas. Same thing with R&B divas. Y'all see it. You see what this was, what R&B divas originally was. If you've looked at any of the links on my YouTube channel, you see the direction we were trying to go in, the support, the lifting, the love, the growing, the drama, the what, but what happens is, again, just like in the music industry, in the television industry, you get a culturally incompetent white male lens that controls all of the narratives, who dictates what happens, what is ultimately delivered, and what ultimately influences our community. If you look at the roster at the record labels these days, they all have the same female rapper. And she's in a bathing suit talking about how good her PUSSY is down in the, you know what I mean? Like, or how she gonna beat somebody up, or how she gonna, and it's cool to have fun and it's cool to like, but we're at a space as a community, we're in a space as a community where we're trying to elect the first Black woman president of the United States of America. And all of these images of who we are as Black people that are difficult to consume are there for anybody who has questions or doubts about how capable we are as Black people to use as an example. No other culture does it, y'all. That's all I'm saying. We talk about how we need to be able to express sexual freedom, and this everybody does, but nobody does it in the exploited, in the way that exploits the community the way it happens for Black people. And I encourage everybody to think about what you're watching and what you're subscribing to and what you're listening to as you think about this Diddy trial and you see what's happening in this Diddy trial. I encourage you to think about young women and girls and how they are impressionable and they make decisions in a heartbeat that can change their lives forever. The young women and girls that showed up to those freak offs, the young women and girls that could show up to a freak off in the future. And most importantly, think about the fact that none of these artists out here that are being named in all this egregious behavior did this shit by themselves. I don't know who the enablers are, but they are there. They have been in this industry for a long time. and they will be there until the same thing that happened to Diddy and Weinstein happens to them. And I guess we could say we're making progress because, we're getting a lot of really toxic, destructive people off the streets. But I would venture to say that the most toxic and the most destructive ain't in the streets. They in them C suites, calling them shots. And a lot of them appear to be stepping down. So, anywho, y'all, I'm tired, as y'all can see. I've been up since 5:38. Um, I had a great day today speaking in Nashville. I am excited about the future. December 5th is our oral hearing in my case against Lionsgate and P Valley. One of the reasons I have fought as hard and for as long as I have, and I'm so tired, is because I understand the value of owning what I created. See, and then I said I was going to get off, but I want to share this. The story that I wrote about the LBGTQIA club owner and the 5 women who work in the club and the casino coming to take over the club and the antagonist who was homophobic. Like, that story was one that told the story of an underserved community working in an environment that was traditionally frowned upon, but it kept a certain level of integrity, and it kept a certain level of still authentic and real, but it just kept a certain level of responsibility is the word I want to use in my story, because I understood how important it was to make sure that even though you were telling a story about women who took their clothes off for a living, and it's a club that was owned by an LGBTQIA man who was on the down low and a homophobic antagonist, there were still moments in that story that lifted our community. And I'm not saying that that doesn't happen in P Valley. I'm saying most of those moments came from my story. What I'm saying is, when you have a Black woman come and bring you a story about her community and her people, whether it's through music, a script, whatever it is, any person from that community, partner with those people. Partner with them so that you can continue to evolve the story. Everybody can still work and you don't end up in a high profile litigation, because instead of partnering with them, you've decided that you want to infringe on their intellectual property rights and drag everybody through the muck. Partner with people who care about the consumers so that there is longevity in the content, and you don't end up discovering that there's a predator that's been in the industry for 30 years, allegedly, changing generations and generations of Black people's lives because of the toxic, destructive behavior, like what allegedly Diddy exhibited. Spend time getting to know the people that you collaborate and partner with so that we don't have situations like this. And people aren't in the end wondering who enabled him. Why was he allowed to do this for so long? And why didn't anybody care until they saw the tape? And I have a feeling that once this trial is over, if we don't stay focused on the victims, figuring out how to change this, then we're just setting it up for the next Diddy to come. And I believe Jaguar said that in one of her interviews. And I think that's it. I think I'm about to start rambling. You guys, make sure you press the like button. I will make sure that I post a video of the conversation we had today about artist rights. Oh, yes, please do me a favor. This is really big, and I should have put this up, but I did not, because as you can see, I'm super tired. Go to what is it? I'll post it. That's what I'll do. I'll post it on my IG and I'll post it on my YouTube. We need you guys to support the No Fakes Act. It is an act that the Grammys and the Advocacy Board are trying to get passed so that creatives and musicians and artists do not fall victim to people taking our voices and turning it into some old crazy ass AI shit. It's called the No Fakes Act. Okay? So please, if you want to help your artist, hashtag No Fakes Act. I will post the link where you can send a letter. There's a copy letter that you can send to your senators. As a constituent, we want to make sure that we push this whole little thing through. And what else? I think that's it, you guys. Please continue to pray for my family, my sisters. Again, December 5th, oral hearing on YouTube for all the world to see. And we're about to win this thing. That's all I have to say. Listen, all of them are being called to the carpet. Everybody's being called to the carpet. And Karma is a bitch. And Karma is getting a whole lot of bitches out here in these streets. We're turning a whole bunch of people into them. All right, love you guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Please press the like button. Thank you, Pam, and thank you to everyone that Pam, the Law Intellect, sent. I am Nikki Gilbert Daniels. This is Nights with Nikki. I might come back on Sunday. As you can see, I'm tired and grateful. God bless y'all and have a great evening.